Greetings, fellow detectives. Wizard Kitten here, bringing you a new Nancy Drew analysis video. Today's video is brought to you by the patrons over at Mystique Manor and by all the official Fellow Detective channel members. If you too would like to support the channel and gain access to exclusive features, check out patreon.com/wizardkitten to become a patron, or click join next to the subscribe button to become an official fellow detective. In the comments section of one of my most recent videos, one of you lovely fellow detectives proposed the idea of a deep dive into the heroine of our favorite PC game series, Nancy Drew herself. At this point, I have done multiple personality analysis videos of the characters within the series, including the Enneagram, Myers-Briggs, and the love languages. However, in these videos, I didn't necessarily talk about where Nancy would fall on all of these personality assessments, and I think it would be quite fun to give it a go. So today, let's summarize basically everything we know about Nancy Drew as she is presented within the Her Interactive PC game series. And additionally, let's postulate on her personality based on all of the evidence we have available to us. A couple caveats before we begin. This video will inevitably have some plot and character spoilers, since I will need to provide some highly specific examples as evidence for my claims. You have been warned about spoilers. Second, I am going to exclusively be talking about Nancy's character within the games and not including the books as a reference. Nancy within the books is a totally different person than Nancy in the games, so it's best to keep our analysis focused. To begin, let's start with the facts. In Nancy Drew Alibi in Ashes, we learn a lot about Nancy from her booking report when she is arrested for arson. Specifically, we learn that Nancy is 5 feet 7 inches tall and has Titian hair and blue eyes. For those who don't know, Titian hair is more or less a reddish strawberry blonde. We also learn that Nancy is 18 years old, as evidenced by the fire incident report form that states that the estimated age of the person involved, i.e. the primary suspect, i.e. Nancy, is 18 years. In terms of style, Nancy sports a wide variety of looks throughout the series, though it is a running joke that she is more unfashionable than not. Alec Fell in The Silent Spy makes fun of Nancy's mom jeans, and even her own mom makes fun of her iconic horse t-shirt that appears multiple times in Nancy's suitcase in the early games of the series. Nancy's dress in Secret of the Old Clock is disparaged, Yumi teases her in Shadow at the Water's Edge, Izzy Romero makes fun of her red hair, and the list goes on. On the rare occasions that we get glimpses of Nancy's fashion, her outfits vary. In the early games, jeans and a t-shirt seem to be her go-to. However, in some later games like Legend of the Crystal Skull and Phantom of Venice, Nancy seems to prefer classic heels, a skirt, and a blouse. Overall, she seems to prefer a simple style. She doesn't think often of her wardrobe and prefers go-to, reliable pieces that she can wear time and again. In terms of childhood, Nancy is the only child of Carson Drew, a lawyer, and Kate Drew, a journalist and spy. In The Silent Spy, we learn that Nancy's mother was killed at the hands of Revenant, a terrorist group that at the time was operating a mission out of Glasgow, Scotland. The prevailing theory is that Kate died in a car crash that was the direct result of the actions of Revenant agents. After Kate's death, Hannah Gruen became the primary maternal figure in Nancy's life, far more than simply a housekeeper for the Drew family. Nancy has been lifelong friends with Bess Marvin and George Fane, all of whom grew up in River Heights together. While it has not been explicitly confirmed, most fans theorize that River Heights is somewhere in Illinois in the US. Nancy also grew up with and still has a family dog, a little pug named Togo. Throughout the series, Nancy appears to perpetually remain 18 years old. She seems to be at a point in life where she has graduated from high school, as evidenced by the fact that she does not attend school, and has been working as a private detective since then. How she has solved 33 mysteries across multiple seasons and dates without aging once is beyond me. Let me know your wild fan theories in the comment section down below. Aliens? Nancy's a robot? The possibilities abound. As a teen private investigator, Nancy works independently. Throughout her career, she comes across cases either accidentally, through word of mouth, or by assignment. She doesn't work for an agency, but will sometimes freelance for agencies, such as the spy agencies in Phantom of Venice or The Silent Spy. Nancy's reputation is almost universally positive. She is known as a competent, efficient, resourceful, and successful detective. She is unafraid to put herself in the way of danger, willing to take risks, sometimes to a fault. As an adult, she has maintained her friendships with Bess and George, has established strong friendships and working relationships with the Hardy Boys, Frank and Joe, and has been in a long-term relationship with Ned Nickerson. On that segue, Nancy and Ned have had a varied relationship. In the classical era of the series, their relationship was either not discussed or they were saying "I love you" and demonstrating intimate closeness, like in Stay Tuned for Danger. In the Renaissance era, Ned is more like Nancy's de facto buddy, and in the modern era, a relationship triangle dynamic between Ned, Nancy, and Frank develops. For further information on this, see my analysis video about relationships in the series, linked in a card in the upper corner. I think part of the difficulties of Ned and Nancy's relationship comes in their differing love languages. Ned seems to heavily value quality time, as he is frequently the one who sets up dates and outings for him and Nancy, only to have Nancy completely forget to fly off to a different country to solve a mystery. Cough cough, Sea of Darkness. Based on how Nancy handles this situation, it seems like her primary love language may be gift-giving. Her instinct to solve this relationship faux pas is to buy Ned a replica sword from the gift shop as an apology. She also cherishes the locket that Ned gives her in The Phantom of Venice, and, in general, does seem to find a lot of meaning in physical objects. Her inventory of borrowed items is a direct indication of this. Nancy doesn't seem to value quality time, words of affirmation, physical touch, or acts of service nearly as much. So that's one facet of Nancy's personality that I feel pretty confident describing. Another is her Hogwarts house, which I have yet to discuss on this channel, so let me know in the comment section if you'd like to see that. Anywho, Nancy Drew in the games is a classic Gryffindor. Nancy is brave and fearless, and she has a clear sense of right and wrong. Her most classic Gryffindor trait, though, is her consistent lack of planning. Nancy is much more likely to make spur-of-the-moment decisions so that she can rush in and save the day than she is to step back, wait, plan, or make careful decisions. This is what ensures that Nancy isn't a Ravenclaw. While some may guess that she's a Ravenclaw given her intelligence and propensity for solving mysteries and puzzles, she's not nearly cautious enough. Nancy is bright, certainly, but her most defining feature is her courage. And what of her Myers-Briggs? Check out the card in the upper corner for a deep dive into this classic personality typing system with the other Nancy Drew characters. I'll start by sharing what I'm pretty positive about. First, Nancy is a perceiving type on the Myers-Briggs, rather than a judging type. Just like her aforementioned Gryffindor characteristics, Nancy usually doesn't plan things out. She doesn't have a set way of doing things, she isn't methodical, and she doesn't rely on structure. Nancy is highly flexible and free-flowing. She can chameleon to practically any environment because she is able to go with the flow and take moments as they come. If she figures out who the culprit is, she's going for them. Now. She's not going to wait and come up with a Fred-style Scooby-Doo trap. She's just gonna go get them. Same with searching for clues and interrogating suspects. Second, I feel confident saying that Nancy is a thinking type rather than a feeling type. Nancy is more likely to make decisions based on logic, clues, and information. And when she seeks said information, she has a tendency to not consider the feelings of the person to whom she is speaking. We see this in her interrogation of the Shimizu family in Shadow at the Water's Edge, or her blunt accusations of the Thornton family in Ghost of Thornton Hall. Additionally, Nancy is rarely sensitive herself. Characters attack and berate her and get mad at her all the time, but she is barely shaken by this. All of this supports that Nancy is less likely to rely on emotional processing than mental processing. Third, I am reasonably confident saying that Nancy is introverted at heart, rather than extroverted. However, I think she could be considered a true ambivert in that she does really seem to gain energy from both independent and social sources. The reason I lead towards introversion for Nancy is because of the nature of her work. She's an independent detective and works on her own most of the time. Her interactions with suspects are rarely, if ever, about socializing and hanging out. They're about gathering information, more a necessity as part of a case than an internal drive to spend time with others. She also has a small group of close-knit friends, which is something one is more likely to see in introverts rather than extroverts, who are more likely to have a wider social network. It's a common misconception that introverts just don't like socializing, but with their chosen people, introverts crave connection just like anyone else. This is why her phone calls with Bess, George, Ned, Frank, and Joe help energize her, but otherwise, she's pretty content to be on her own, doing her fieldwork, often in the middle of nowhere. So, we have ITP, but is Nancy a sensing type or an intuitive type? I think a solid argument could definitely be made for both, so I decided to break this tie by looking at the descriptions for both ISTPs and INTPs on 16personalities.com to make the final verdict. Doing so helped me land with certainty on Nancy being an INTP, the logician. A few descriptive phrases that really keyed me in were that INTPs can't help but puzzle over the mysteries of the universe, love to analyze patterns, have a Sherlock Holmes-like knack for spotting discrepancies and irregularities, overflow with ideas and theories that they haven't thought through all the way, and could spend all day musing about ideas and possibilities. This is an absolutely perfect description of Nancy. Someone who is fascinated by the mysteries of human nature, overflowing with thoughts and theories about each mystery she encounters, and constantly solving puzzles and finding patterns. INTPs can also sometimes appear cold or detached, which is often how Nancy can come across in the series as she pursues knowledge through interrogation. Finally, INTPs thrive in careers that are all about pursuing knowledge and solving problems with an energetic veracity. If that doesn't describe Nancy Drew, I don't know what does. Finally, I want to dive into Nancy's Enneagram Type. This is something that I have found fascinating to think about, because the Enneagram doesn't look so much at how a person acts so much as it examines the motivations behind someone's actions. I have a strong theory about Nancy's Enneagram Type, and much of it is backed by information that we uncover in The Silent Spy. In that game, Nancy is able to access archives of files pertaining to the death of her mother, Kate Drew. She realizes that Cathedral has been following and profiling herself as well as her friends. Some of the insights within the file about Nancy indicate that Nancy is easily manipulated by those who know her past, alluding to the death of Kate Drew. The file, coincidentally written by Logan, Savannah's assistant from Shadow at the Water's Edge, goes on to say that during that mystery, Nancy was fixated on a deceased member of the Shimizu family and driven to, quote-unquote, solve the case of her death. The file notes that her actions are uninvited, and the psychology here is clear to anyone looking and is on the whole a worrisome development. This little tidbit is the primary reason that I am confident saying that Nancy is a 7-wing 8, the realist. To summarize, Type 7s are busy, variety-seeking types who are spontaneous, versatile, and acquisitive. Their basic fear is of being deprived or in pain, particularly emotionally. When stressed, Type 1s suddenly become perfectionistic, critical, and hyper-idealistic like Type 1s. When healthy and in their element, Type 7s are able to become focused and fascinated by life, like healthy Type 5s. At their core, Type 7s are inquisitive and are often engaged in a multitude of projects at any given time. We see this in Nancy's constant movement and activity. She moves from one case to the next with nary a break in between. Even when she tries to go on vacation, she ends up finding a mystery to solve. She can't stop doing things, finding new adventures and pursuing excitement. It's like an addiction for her, which can be great since Type 7s are often known for having quick, agile minds and can be exceptionally fast learners. Given how many random skills Nancy has acquired over the years, I think this is spot on. The root of a Type 7's problem, though, and the root of Nancy's problems, is that they are out of touch with their own inner guidance. They are constantly seeking outside experiences, excitement, adventure, prosperity, and happiness. Because if they stopped to look inward, they wouldn't know what to do or how to make choices that would be beneficial to themselves and others. Long story short, 7s are really good at running from their negative feelings to the point that they are anxious to ever experience or deal with them fully. The coping strategy for this is usually to stay so busy and on the move that they don't have time to stop, reflect, and ponder what those feelings might really mean for them. The information we gain in The Silent Spy tells us that Nancy hasn't fully dealt with the loss of her mother at such a young age. In her phone call with Carson at the end of the game, Nancy and Carson admit to one another that they kind of just assumed the other was okay because neither of them ever decided to talk about what had happened. Rather than dealing with the sadness and hurt that Nancy felt inside, her little Type 7 soul responded by going out into the world and escaping that sadness. Nancy's Type 8 wing gives her her characteristic boldness and fearlessness, her ability to say what she's thinking and take control of a situation. When she's in her groove, she can focus on a case and unpuzzle the situation like no other. When she's stressed, she falls into a space of perfectionistic and idealistic panic. And at her typical day-to-day levels, she moves quickly from idea to idea, place to place, flexibly and energetically, taking on any new challenge or event that's placed in her path. Yes, this makes her pretty flighty, as I'm sure dear old Ned would attest. And it also makes her adventurous and dynamic. I'd like to end this video by summarizing what a genuine icon Nancy Drew in the games truly is. The way Nancy was designed brought a confident, intelligent, fearless, and competent female heroine to the forefront of a video game series as the primary protagonist, not as a sexualized token female character, but as a successful private investigator whose heart and mind, not her appearance, made her stand out from the crowd. On a personal note, Nancy inspired me to be brave, to try and do things that frightened me because I knew they would be right or even simply exciting. She helped me tap into my courage and helped me feel seen within video games. She's a powerful and well-rounded and meaningful character, and I frankly think that we could use a lot more like her. Thank you, Nancy, for all that you've done for us. And there you have it, fellow detectives, a biography of Nancy Drew as seen in the Nancy Drew PC game series. What do you think of this biography? Were there any facts that were new or interesting to you? Was there any information I missed? What do you think of my theories about Nancy's personality? Let a wizard kitten know in the comments section down below. If you really enjoyed this video, please consider hitting that like button or tipping me for the video with a super thanks next to the download button right beneath the video. If you would like to come join a fantastic group of fellow detectives at Mystique Manor as a patron for the channel, gain access to exclusive content, and support the making of more content like this, please check out patreon.com/wizardkitten. I also have channel memberships with exclusive badges and emojis to use during streams and in the comment section. If you'd like to support the channel by becoming an official fellow detective, click join next to the subscribe button. Please feel free to follow the channel on Instagram or Discord, linked in the description box down below. And as always, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more Nancy Drew and Sims 4 content. Thank you so much for watching, fellow detectives. I will see you soon.